have one critical thinking presentation first, and then we'll start with okay.
Hello. So this speech was supposed to be given 2 weeks ago, but things happen. Value co-creation is essential when an organization is introducing a new product into the marketplace. Value co-creation is defined in the textbook as a business strategy initiated by a business entity to work with a consumer to help address a consumer unfulfilled need. Value co-creation is a great way to conduct an environmental scanning during the infancy of a new product, service, or good. In CNN's business traveler video on Bill Marriott succeeded where many others failed because he recognized an underserved market. He provided the consumer with a better room at a lower price, which helped surpass the competition because it's a better option than what the competition could offer. At one point, Bill Marriott was supposed to run out of great locations for his hotels, but he opted out. Instead of looking for great locations, he opted out for locations with great volume of traffic, which helped define his marketed brand. He provided the consumer with a lower price that helped the consumer help travel and was better than what the competition could offer. Bill Marriott helped transform the hotel industry by offering a better room at a lower price under an umbrella of different hotels under the same company. This expanded the company from one hotel in 1927 to more than 3,500 in 2016. Thank you.
You talked a lot about the Marriott. There were 2 videos, so I'll focus on the Marriott. Have you noticed that a lot of the Marriott brand hotels have now started to change hands? So for example, the original Marriott in Oklahoma City it's no longer a Marriott property. They've sold it and it's become the Tower Hotel. Do you think that's a product of being too big and having to retract?
Yes, some companies do have to retract after they take so many, like a large percentage of the market.
Walmart is having to do that now. They're closing stores. They were going to go into a lot of smaller towns like Luther, and they were going to have it even smaller than the neighborhood market Walmart, and they've had to start retracting those. That one, Luther was open 8 months, and they started closing. Okay, thank you. All right, number 8. Here's number 8.
Try to say his name. No.
You have to say it now. I'll double check.
We're stronger together.
Okay.
And our group members are Robert, Leah, Evo, Bryce, Robert, myself, Dylan, Thomas, Mariana, Brittany, and Wayne.
Advertising on social media in current time is a must. The majority of people are almost always connected to some type of social media throughout their day. Social media makes it easy for companies to advertise their product and build some type of relation with their consumers. An online presence is near mandatory for brands. However, authenticity and return rates cannot always be measured. Consumers cannot always determine the credibility, and without age restrictions, anything can pop up on social sites.
So as you can see by looking at the slide, that there are several reasons companies target social media as a marketing platform, but they all kind of have most things in common. There's billions of users across the world. It's free and it's easy. Everybody's on it.
Our group, we just researched 4 problems in social media marketing. Those 4 problems were authenticity, return on investment, credibility, and age restrictions. So while it is no secret that online marketing is a benefit because it allows for a broader variety of selection, it is also, for a broader variety of selection to the consumer, it is also a benefit to the producer. Social media has made it extremely easy for companies to target consumers at little to no cost. But the challenge that is faced is product authenticity. Authenticity is what gives a product personality. Through a virtual space, products can be marketed as anything, and there's no way to tell what you have actually gotten until it arrives at your door. If a product does not come from a reputable dealer, like most things advertised on social media, the consumer is taking a big risk. Consumers fall victim to inauthentic products because they believe they are getting a real product at a discount price.
As you can see from the crudely outlined red circle highlighting the 3 ads on that man's Facebook page, basically anything can pop up. You got an advertisement for a retro toy, Reynolds aluminum wrap, and an ad about, I think, other ads. And so out of those, you know, it's probably safe bet that Reynolds wrap, if you click on the link, it's actually going to take you where it promises. Who knows about the other ones? And in regards to the Ray-Bans ad, that, you know, it's showing that they're only charging $25. Likely probably not true. I looked, can't find them for less than 45, so it's good that they claim they offer free returns because you probably won't be happy with your purchase when you get it. Now Brittany's going to talk about return on investment.
One of the biggest problems with social media and marketing is business owners face the challenge of gauging the return on investment from their social media. 52% said that dealing with social media, return on investment was their biggest frustration. The amount of time that it takes to be able to post or tweet or upload a picture is not equivalent to the business that it's going to return on what you do.
About the credibility, the relationship between the customer and seller needs to be built on the consistency and full responsibility. Company have a lot of ways to promote their product, but the product sell on the media, social, the customer cannot touch or feel about the items. That's why the seller needs to consistent with whatever they mention about their product in the marketing strategy. And the company, if they want to maintain their credibility, they need to have the full responsibility. If something wrong happens with your product, they have a responsibility to review the customer loss.
I'm going to talk about age restriction. All social media sites, which will be on the next page, have usually 13 years old or minimum. So there is no age restriction to be on the internet, but the social media sites, there is an age restriction. Facebook and Twitter, YouTube have a requirement of 13 years old, but with a fake birthday, it's very easily to go past that. This is just a graph that shows all the age requirements, which is 13 usually, but very easily to get past. This is the Children Privacy Protection Act, which protects children above 13 years old. So if you're below 13 years old, you are not protected based on your privacy information. So if a child does use a fake birthday, their information will be passed along and won't be protected by the act.
So just some closing remarks about today's presentation. Marketing and social media is ever changing, and so it's very important that businesses are staying up to beat. This builds connection with their potential customers and also their current customers. Although we discussed 4 negatives of social media today, we really do believe that the benefits outweigh those negatives. It's become kind of a way of life, and as a result, it's important that businesses are engaged in social media so that they can continue to make that connection with their users. And it's almost necessary these days for businesses to have an online and social media presence.
Join us in the discussion. Tell us what you think about social media and marketing and what you think about our presentation today. You can use the hashtag UCO Marketing16. Does anyone have any questions?
Way back here. Y'all mentioned the ads, but on Google Chrome and Firefox, there's an ad block that blocks the ads. So does that hurt the marketers and help the consumers, or what do y'all think about that?
It depends on your point of view. If you like ads, then it wouldn't hurt you as a consumer. But if you are a provider, it would hurt you as a provider also for there to be ad blocks, because then you're spending money to get your name out there, but then you're also not, like, they're not getting your advertisement.
So do y'all think that ad blocks should be a thing?
They are a thing.
So do you think they shouldn't be allowed? Like, should that extension be taken off for you?
There are free ad blockers, but most of the really good ones cost money. So the ones that are free aren't really that effective.
I want to follow up with this question. Just as fast as we come up with an ad blocker, businesses, and particularly in the adult entertainment industry, figure out ways of getting around those ad blockers. Particularly, lots of countries, China, for example, restricts what their people can see, but there's always a way around that. And one of the things that I worry about with that is that children are much more technologically sophisticated than their parents in many respects at finding these things. And so is that an issue with regard to the internet and use of social media?
Yes, because there's probably more of a population of younger people out there, and the more ads or inappropriate ads that there are, the more they're going to be exposed to it.
What about, okay, thank you. I wanted to ask about, one of you talked about measuring ROI, and I wanted to focus on that. You said that it's really difficult to measure ROI. Do you think it's more difficult or less difficult than measuring ROI on something like a billboard or a TV ad?
No, because usually people might mention that they saw your billboard versus some people aren't really going to say that they, went online or saw your ad online. It's easier seeing it on the billboard.
Oh, but it's very easy to track click-throughs. I mean, if somebody stops off the interstate as a result, so, going from here to Stillwater, for example, there's a big billboard that says, "World's largest beer cave." And it's at the Stillwater exit. Surprise, surprise. And, how many people do they actually know when you go into that convenience store that you stop because they have this billboard? Or did they stop because they had to go pee? I mean, how do they track that? It's very, very difficult. I think you can measure click-through and whether or not somebody bought very easily. I think the measure of ROI is really much easier with the internet than it has been in traditional advertising. I mean, you may never know whether somebody, in my own business, we ask where people see things so we can track and we can somewhat measure our return on investment on advertising. But billboards and things like that are notoriously more difficult than maybe tracking click-throughs. Now, tracking whether or not they purchase may be more difficult, but okay. I asked about the age restrictions. Oh, what can they do? So you talked about the age restrictions being 13. Do they actually really monitor that? And is there a way of telling that the sites can determine with high degrees of specificity whether or not somebody is signing up and is actually of age to participate in their website, like Facebook?
They asked for a birthday, but Twitter, I believe that you can go in and
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these sites, for example, Lone Star here has an app that you can use, and it asks you for your birthday when you log into the app. And Lone Star has on their bottle caps, one of the things that makes Lone Star is they have puzzles on their bottle caps, and you can go in and browse the puzzle caps, but they ask for the age. Anybody could put in an age. I mean, there's no real policing of that. So who do you think should police that? Is it the parents' responsibility, or do the sites themselves have some responsibility to engage in a more advanced level of authentication with regard to age restrictions?
I think that relies on parents, inside the products, safe for children. Here, understood that grown-ups communicate socialize. Facebook promise to everyone, child say, you have to accept more. But I feel like really the best way to take care of this is the parents.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's also, I mean, even if there are several steps added to verifying people's age, I think that kids that want to be online are going to find ways around it. And with so many users online, it's really difficult to track and prevent that.
I think that's right. One of the things that you showed on one of your slides was not just Facebook, but you also showed Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+. Why do you think Google+ hasn't taken off the way Facebook has?
I really like that. I mean, I don't know if Twitter thinks
They really tried to promote it when it first came out, but it seems like it's gone the way of Google Glass. Really, I mean, they're not disabling it. It's there, but how many actually use it? I think they failed to differentiate themselves from Facebook in any marketable way. All right, very good. Thank you. Who can join the conversation on Twitter for yours? That may earn you bonus points. All right, here's number 9.
We did save them a contract.
They may have done it as a beta test or a beta test where you know the application, but I think if you log into Google, you can see it on the little thing that pops up. Just to let you know, the video captures from about this end of that to about the end of that. Stay right there. So, yeah, don't stand over there.
Okay, we're District 3 talking about consumer engagement and privacy policies. I'm Sienna. I'm Sydney.
I'm Austin. I'm Brendan. I'm Brandon.
I'm Elaine.
I'm James. I'm David. Derek. And Thomas.
Our thesis statement is consumer engagement has become one of the best marketing strategies for companies to use for many business purposes, such as a business getting your address for promotional items and for coupons. But some companies have found themselves questioning how far can we go before violating expectations of privacy, such as if you go to a boutique downtown Edmond, they're not going to ask you how many kids you have or your social security number.
Social media. Instagram has created a large market for communities of famous athletes, celebrities, politicians, and many other businesses to advertise companies. They're for the companies and products, like people like Derek Jeter for his foundation, Michael Jordan for his shoes, and Floyd Mayweather for himself, actually. Benefits of Instagram is it's cheap, it's quick,
And you get a wide variety of viewers. And throughout the years, Instagram has surpassed Facebook as the leader of social media, and they actually have a lot more views than Facebook. So yeah.
Consumer and published content. So the public should be able to view the content either on social media or a website. There needs to be something that makes your content stand out from the rest. And in order to better relate to a consumer, it should have a neutral standpoint. In order to do that, it must be generated by a consumer. And for consumer information, it should be able to be digitally accessed. And even when not requested, consumers are willingly giving out this information. And familiarity has brought upon complacency.
As a consumer, you are given your rights, as Group 8 said before us. One of the lead runners of those rights is the Children Online Privacy Protection Act, which is, like he said before, you can't access certain websites unless you're at the age of 13. Like Instagram, Facebook, online video games, stuff like that. If you are under the age of 13, you have to have the written consent of a parent or guardian, which by written consent is probably just a click of a button saying that you are the parent. So it's easy to kind of run around that wall. The biggest right would be the Consumer Bill of Rights, which was actually instated by John F. Kennedy. This Bill of Rights' main goal is to just ensure that the item or anything that you are consuming or buying is the best that it could be. There's the right to safety, the right to be heard, the right to choose, and the right to be informed. Safety, a good example of that is if something is hazardous and it wasn't your fault, if it was the company's fault that something happened to you during the process of consumption or anything like that, legally they have to do something about it. They can't just get away from their mistakes that affect you. And then confidentiality. This is basically just saying that if you give any information out when you're signing into Facebook or anything like that, when you give your email and age and all that stuff, it's supposed to remain confident, which means they're not allowed to give out any of the information that you give to them.
Consumer advocacy is a specialized form of customer service that focuses on what is best for the customer. Customer advocacy policy encompasses customer contact, including products, services, sales, and companies, and can be measured through customer satisfaction, retention, and profitability.
Okay, marketing and advertisement that is used throughout social media is monitored by the Federal Trade Commission, or the FTC. The Federal Trade Commission is what enforces and prohibits any unfair or deceptive practices that would be used or that would cause the marketing and advertising of a business to be mistaken. The FTC serves as an important function as a protector of both consumer and business rights.
We need to be careful with what we post on social media. Everything that we post, whether we like it or retweet it or share it, all that information is sold to marketers. People turn their location services on their phone. That's not just for them to do research on what you do. That information is being sold to marketers. Keep private information personal. Avoid posting addresses, phone numbers, pictures of your car that include license plate, and picture of your IDs. Who looks at what you post? Future employers, tough colleges to get into, scammers, thieves, burglars, and immigrants.
When engaging with your consumers, it's important to meet their needs, create a personal connection, and if you're going to sell to them, relate to them in many ways. And social media is doing that. and they're relating to people on a different basis. They're improving their technology, relating with the people of the entire country. And the uses and consumption of the social media is making many businesses more popular and more successful.
So in conclusion, we talked about how companies have started to use social media to market because it's cheaper, easier, and they can reach a vast majority of people through Instagram, Facebook, etc. We talked about the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which is an act that prohibits the collection of information for someone under the age of 13 without the consent of a parent. And the FTC was created to protect people from unfair business practices and also keep companies from creating monopolies. And don't forget that nothing is truly private, so think before you post.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, I have a couple of questions. One of the things that you talked about was consumer published content as a way of engaging the consumer. What might be particularly problematic with consumer generated content?
It would generally be, it would be a little bit biased, because if they're like not happy with their product, then it's gonna deter a consumer away. But if they're happy with the product, it'll get them to buy it. So.
Yeah, that's exactly the problem. In the old days, before we had the World Wide Web, back in the dark ages when I first started teaching, we used to say that if a consumer really liked your product and they were really, really happy with you, they might tell 3 people. And if they were unhappy with you, they would likely tell 10 people. In today's day and age, what we call NWAM, negative word of mouth advertising, or negative word of mouth communication, it's no longer that they're going to tell 10, they're going to tell everybody. And that can be a problem with consumer generated. I mean, and they can, and if you don't monitor your site, they can start posting very negative things on your own site, and it can be very difficult to monitor that. Or they can post it on other social media sites, TripAdvisor, Angie's List, things like that, and that's very difficult to control. So I think that's one of the interesting things. Now, Amazon has actually started a program that they call the Amazon Vine. If you will write reviews for Amazon, you're writing up with them, they'll ask you to join their Vine program. You have to be invited to join you. But what they found is that even products that have a negative review are bought more than products that have no review whatsoever. And so they'll send you products. I was listening to a guy on NPR the other day who had gotten something like $300,000 worth of products from Amazon for free to try for his own use. So if you'll start writing reviews on Amazon, they might do that. So they even, I guess, to some extent, the lesson is that no, the only bad press is no press to some level. Okay, go ahead. You were going to say something?
How would they let you keep the product?
They let you keep the product. You cannot sell the product. You have to agree to not sell the product or give it away. You can keep it. If you want to give it back, or if you want to get rid of it, you have to give it back. Or totally use them. Some products are obviously, you're going to use them. But he'd gotten things like treadmills, televisions, laptops. I mean, he'd gotten a whole bunch of products to use. One of the things that you talked about and the other group talked about was the COPA and the Consumer Bill of Rights. How do we enforce those in a world in which the web really is worldwide? How do you really enforce that? It used to be that the FTC, for example, could, with regard to tangible products, we could say, when we found out, for example, that products were coming in from China that were lead painted, that had the lead-based paint on the toys, well, we started saying things like, you're not going to import that product to the United States. But with regard to the World Wide Web, how do we enforce that?
I mean, I think it's a lot different on the web, because it gives out information and stuff. Because one of the parts of the Consumer Bill of Rights is it says that you have the right to be informed, which means the information that you're getting has to be valid and it can't be, false information. But I think it's a lot harder to follow the Consumer Bill of Rights on the web, because they can say whatever they want, and it could be a fake website that's not even actually selling anything. So
right, and if the citizen is not a U.S. citizen and they're let's say somewhere else in the Netherlands or something like that, how can we stop them from can't.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I mean, it's kind of like the Child Protection Act where you can just say you're the parent and click yes, just so that they legally can say that a parent or guardian signed off on it. So if they kind of meet the standards, I think they can get away with a lot on them.
Yeah, it's very difficult to believe. All right, very good. Group number 10. Again, we need to stand a little bit over. If you stand by that wall and can't pick up, picks up from this desk going that way.
Good morning. My name is Mercedes Wilson. This is Kara. This is Heather, Stephanie, Alan, Tiana, and Insuk. And together we are the Go-Getters. Today we're going to be talking about traditional media out, digital media in. What this means is basically that marketing has changed completely over the last 10 years. And we're going to go into more details about some of the problems and benefits of both of these things and the strategies.
Many marketing problems consist of not reaching target audience effectively. The marketplace has evolved because of technology, the expansion of media outlets, the difficulty to trigger which media outlet is most effective, and the production of ineffective marketing data results. Traditional marketing methods consist of print ads, business cards, newspapers, magazines, TV ads, radio ads, billboards, interviews, questionnaires, and focus groups. Okay, there are some problems with traditional marketing, including some ineffective methodologies. Some of these include interviews, questionnaires, focus groups. These are ineffective because the data is miscalculated and inaccurate, the sample sizes are too small, and even if the research is done well, it still has to be ordered, conducted, reported, and analyzed. And even if all this is done, it still doesn't answer all the questions. And as the father of modern advertisement said, half of the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half.
There are many digital marketing methodologies that exist today, such as social media outlets, big data samples in which marketers are looking at the entire data set, including social networks, shopping patterns, and processing the language of the human brain. There's machine learning, which is a field of study that gives computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed to do so. This builds market simulations, which are approximately 99% accurate in many cases. There's also search engine optimization, in which search engine marketers are using technology to their advantage to observe what people are searching and what is being liked behind closed doors. The last three of these could be under the umbrella of data mining, in which people, basically marketing is collecting information on what people are doing with their time on the internet. And the last one, search engine optimization, as it's stated behind closed doors, is especially good because a lot of people don't voice their opinions that loudly, just as was previously stated. If you like something, you'll tell 3 people. If you dislike, you'll tell 10. So if it doesn't get out enough, the internet can catch it nowadays.
Digital marketing benefits include it's an effective way to interact with the consumer using digital communication. It uses technology to reach consumers and create awareness. Social media outlets are faster and more accurate way to reach potential consumers and retain them. It's also a fraction of the cost compared to traditional marketing, and it's more flexible in changing tactics for marketing plans.
Here are some effective marketing tactics: to study the mind and behavior of the consumer, to predict the wants and needs of the consumer, to observe what is being liked behind closed doors, to figure out what the person is thinking so marketers understand what the consumer wants and what the consumer will buy. For example, consumers are more responsive to food advertisements when they are hungry, so we learn to schedule snack advertisements late in the afternoon.
In conclusion, marketing involves the process of attracting and retaining customers, sharing news about the new product, and keeping customer aware of the company. Within each company, the marketing department serves as a liaison between the company and the public. So, company within this department create marketing goals. The marketing goals are: the first one, successful marketing strategies. The second one, reach the targeted audience effectively. Third one, intuition of the consumer mindset, and open-minded to developing new methodologies. And last one, don't repeat trial and errors of the past. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Okay, so you talked about traditional media versus digital media. Can you think of, and I'll give you a hint on this, something that's very relevant and going on this year, where traditional media actually may be more effective than digital media in some respects?
I cannot think of anything off the top of my brain.
Anybody want to take a guess?
In what aspect?
It's something that happens every 4 years. Elections. One of the things, now Bernie Sanders has gotten a lot of support from young people, and he's gotten a lot of donations and things like that. But why might traditional media, print, television, radio be more effective in the political marketplace than digital media?
It's the territory of the beast, I guess, for lack of a better term, because an election, you're getting the word out through, the polls are still done by house calls, mail, posters, radio ads. It's still very much in the olden days because it hasn't evolved at all.
Okay, so yeah, one of the things there's a problem with polling, that a lot of people don't have home phones anymore. So it makes it difficult to conduct accurate polls. And we actually saw that in one election where it didn't look like Bernie was going to win, and he actually pulled out a huge victory over Hillary. But one of the problems is that in the political marketplace, not everybody votes, right? And who historically doesn't vote? Young people, who are more likely to use social media. Old people do go vote, and they don't use that type of media. And so you still have to use that in those traditional kinds of media to catch their attention. Another thing that you talked about was artificial intelligence, with the advantages of digital data. Do you see any downsides to artificial intelligence, intelligent agents?
I mean, obviously on an ethics kind of side of things, there's a lot of people who are really outraged by it, especially when they find out that it's kind of creeping in. Like my dad, for example, when he found an ad that saw what he was searching for, that really freaked him out. But other downsides, if you look up something maybe one time, that doesn't really mean that you're extremely interested in it on a regular basis. That's what I would think.
Yeah, I think that's, and you're right, it's absolutely creepy. They came out, one of the toy companies, and I can't remember which one it was, came out with a doll that was going to connect to the web. It was going to be able to, when you was in an area that was Wi-Fi, and it would learn to communicate with the child. Now, that is really creepy, isn't it? And now, you can see this would be really, really great because the kid could have, I mean, you know, this takes imaginary friend to the whole new level. But the ability to really then learn about your child and seriously and significantly target ads to them and to you is really kind of it's a very Orwellian type of scenario with artificial intelligence. It's a little creepy. One of the things that you mentioned, I don't remember which one of you had this, talked about sample sizes and the advantages of digital media and big samples. Is there a problem with big samples? Yeah?
I mean, averages can be really skewed. I mean, there's tons of things that'll give you averages saying like an average of 75% of people are interested in this, but then you're taking samples from, you know, a small niche group that has really low percentages and a small niche group that has really high percentages, and you have to meet in the middle to get that average. And that might not be an accurate representation.
A lot of people think that big samples are better. And what you'll find is that there is something called the power of numbers. And when you all get to your market research class or your statistics class, everything can become significant if you have enough numbers. And so you start finding significance even where it may be very suspect just by the sheer power of the numbers that you have. And that can be a problem. All right, very good. Okay, so it looks like a lot of people didn't show up today, so there will be bonus points for today. So be sure to sign the roll sheet. For today, we have 3 presentations left on Tuesday, and then we'll move back on to some stuff in the book and focus on the final exam period. So for the last exam, then obviously the final will be cumulative from everything else. So be sure, and if you did not sign the roll sheet, where's the roll sheet? It's right down here. Be sure and sign it because there will be bonus points for today. Thanks, and I will see you guys next week.